Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. Sorry what is here, and today we're going to be taking a look at our cheating stories. 1 year after this day, I can look back and realize how pathetic she really was. By the way, this story is out of a bad movie. My ex-fiancé had 2 kids from a previous relationship. By the end of this, you are going to be crying like a little puppy. I took them in and arranged a nice flat for all of us. Her mother was very ill with cancer. The weekend she cheated, she asked me if it was okay for her to go to a party out of town with her friends. I said sure, I trusted her. I stayed home babysitting her older kid. Her mom, who lives like 500 kilometers away and had just been put in palliative care, terminal cancer, so no more life-extending measures, just pain management, called me and told me she wasn't feeling well. I told her I'd drive to her the following day and pick her up and bring her to us, and she could chill until she felt well enough to be on her own. I woke up, made breakfast for the kid, drove up to Berlin, got the mom in the car, and on the way back, I stopped at a gas station to fill the tank. I was having a coffee, and my friend sent me a message that said, "I'm so sorry." It was a link to an Instagram post from the festival where someone did a pan from the dancer floor. There she was, the stupid asshole bag, making out with some dude. Imaging the scene. Me on the car with her dying mother, her kid at home, and my girlfriend on a festival lightly kissing someone because she was on drugs. Her words, kid you not. I took a screenshot, sent it to her, somehow managed to make it home. My best friend and his girlfriend were waiting for me at my apartment door with a bottle of whiskey and a 6-pack. They packed my bag, got my sobbing ass on the car, and drove me to their place in a different country. Right, well, I sure hope somebody picks up that phone because I've called it. I haven't been to my apartment since or spoken to her, just some emails regarding logistics. She owes me a crapload of cash too. It was tough, but I managed to put myself together, and now I co-own a pretty cool side gig. I'll be back in the hospital doing what I love in 4 weeks. Not to mention, I am in the best shape I have been in the last 15 years. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. And then OP added more details in the comments. How long was your relationship? Are you done with all of her responsibilities, kids, mom, etc.? Is she begging you back? Her relationship was 4 years long, and I paid her rent for 3 months after I left, since I didn't want to leave her hanging. She never begged back. She actually had the balls to blame her ongoing depression for her shitty actions, and told me I was looking for an excuse to leave. A sad old mother of 2. Laughter. It really is tragic because as shitty as her actions are, she really isn't a bad human being. She is just a very, very broken individual. Her mother used to text me all the time, and she hasn't in a while. I checked on WhatsApp a few days ago, and she hasn't been online since April, so I am guessing the poor woman passed away as her cancer was very advanced. I don't envy my ex. She has no family and no support system other than her stupid raving friends, a bunch of idiots pushing 40 or 44 in my ex's case, that think they are the coolest ever because they dress in hippie clothes and go to a rave to drop Molly and dance. She is gorgeous and I'm sure has no shortage of dudes, but I don't think she'll ever find anyone who would do the things I did for her and the kids. In any case, screw her. Seriously, leaving you to look after her kids and her dying mom while she's out there with other dudes. The insane audacity of some people never ceases to shock me. Anyways, good job on getting rid of her, man. Good luck, and now for today's second story. My girlfriend was caught cheating at her friend's wedding, as posted by a Reddit user. Just after our breakup, I met Karen 5 years ago. She had left her abusive boyfriend and moved back in with her parents along with her small child. She dropped out of college when she got pregnant in her senior year. Her ex-boyfriend was physically abusive and cheated on her until she finally left him. We were introduced by one of her sorority sisters, Angie, who married one of my friends, Dave. We connected and dated for a few months, and she and her son Bobby ended up moving in with me. The first few years were great. I got her to go back and finish her degree, and my dad got her a job where he works. About a year and a half ago, Karen reunited with some of her sorority sisters, and they started having a girls' night out every other week. She was also having drinks after work with some of her co-workers occasionally. When I said something about it, she got defensive, and we started arguing about it. Angie told her husband, Dave, that Karen was flirting a lot when they were out to the point it started to bother her. Dave gave me a heads up about it. So, on one of their girls' nights, I showed up at the bar and saw her flirting and letting a guy put his hands on her. I walked up and asked the guy to take his hand off my girlfriend and told Karen it was time to leave. It was an ugly drive home and we fought and she ended up sleeping on the couch. The next morning, she apologized and said she had a little too much to drink and got carried away. I said that wasn't good enough and if we were going to stay together, we were going to have to go to counseling together and work through this. Obviously, the girls' night out was over for a while and we made progress and things got better. 2 months ago, I could tell she was starting to act sketchy, being over paranoid with her phone and leaving the room when she would use it. I tried to talk with her, but she was just evasive and denied anything was wrong. I feel like we've been here before. Have we been here before? I talked with Angie and Dave about my suspicions, and Angie finally said that Karen had been talking with an old boyfriend from college and they had been flirting. Oh my god, this is happening again. When Angie called her out on it, Karen stated if she could keep both of them happy and I didn't find out, then what was the harm? She said I was a great provider and great with Bobby, and she didn't want to lose that, but she needed more. Needless to say, that was devastating, but according to Angie, the old boyfriend lived in Houston, so there was no way they had anything physical. Just long-distance flirting. One of Karen's sorority sisters asked her to be a bridesmaid at her wedding, and we made plans to go. But Bobby developed an ear condition and was supposed to have tubes installed so he could fly there with us. I volunteered to stay with him while she went. It was a 3-day event with a rehearsal dinner, bachelorette party, shower, and the event day itself. After the rehearsal dinner, Dave called and said Karen's old boyfriend had shown up and the two were hanging out and being very indiscreet. He sent me a couple of photos, including a short video of them making out at the hotel. I called Karen's father and asked if he could watch Bobby so I could drive down for the wedding. I dropped Bobby off on the way out of town. It was a very long 6-hour drive and I finally got there late that evening. I got to her room and could hear laughing inside and I knocked on the door. After the third knock, Karen opened the door in her robe and I walked in to find a guy naked in her bed. I introduced myself and advised him he should leave quickly. I turned and saw that Karen was undressed under the robe and asked her to explain herself. She got mad and then made excuses and then accusations. I finally said enough. I told her we were through. I said I was leaving and if she decided to come back, she could get her things and get out of my life. As I walked back into the hall, there were a dozen or so people there, including Angie. We had never closed a door to the room, and as loud as we got, I'm sure we put on a pretty good show. I drove back and got home about the time the sun came up and crashed hard. The next morning, I started boxing up all her clothes, but when I came to her lingerie drawer with all the sexy stuff we had bought, I threw all that into a different box along with her party and clubwear and sent it off to Goodwill. A couple of days later, when her flight got back, she called me from the airport, but her number was still blocked, so she had to Uber home. When she walked in, there were over a dozen boxes sitting in the living room with all of her and Bobby's stuff ready to go. I told her Bobby was at her parents' house and she could call her dad and have him help haul the rest of her stuff to his house or wherever she planned on staying. She tried to talk her way out of it, but I wasn't listening to her stories. She tried to load her suitcases in the car, but her key fob wouldn't work. I told her. Both cars were in my name, and if she tried to take one of them, I would report it as stolen. Her dad finally showed up, and I gave him the short story on why we were breaking up. He didn't say a lot, but we shook hands before he left. All that was a week ago. Dave and Angie have cut contact with Karen. Evidently, our drama spilled over the next day at the ceremony and overshadowed the wedding. Taryn reached out and we talked a couple of times, but I said there was no way back for us. Even so, she refuses to give up on us. Right now, I just have this hollow feeling inside. I eat, go to work, and come home and try to sleep. I'm not mad anymore, just numb, maybe a little sad and confused about what to do next. Sorry for the long post. Talking about it out loud is so hard, and it felt good to let it all out. Edit for clarification. The guy at the wedding was not her ex, Bobby's dad, just the guy she dated in college. She was actually in a physically abusive relationship with Bobby's dad that included a couple of her visits. The last one, Angie, was the one that drove her to the hospital, so there was no hearsay. The cheating, I have no proof, nor does Angie, just Karen's story. Damn, Op, you almost handled this perfectly. You just gave her too many chances before, but you showed that you have a spine, and you know your worth. Congratulations for dodging a bullet, Op. She's not just a shitty girlfriend, but also a shitty mother and an all-around shitty human being. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my YouTube channel for you to watch absolutely free. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even someone enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, make sure to subscribe to Sorry What to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.